Welcome back, everybody. I hope you're all refreshed, got yourselves some drinks and snacks and all the rest of it, because you're going to have your butts in seats, as Captain Flowers would say, because we've got a very important match for FUT coming up. They have to beat the LFL third seed in Aegis in order to be able to even consider making their way into that second place spot to get out of the groups.
Do or die. It's the classic line for FUT here, and you know, Aegis, I'm gonna claim exactly what you said to me in the group.
Yeah.
We're in a bit of a tailspin, obviously, from playoffs into the main stage. Obviously, Plains was more turbulent than it had to be. Obviously, Aegis will not be advancing forward, but they won their last game.
How did they win their last game, though, Jamada?
Well, do you want Jamada's answer? Do you want do you want one word?
I'll have Adrian's answer, please.
Bomba. That's it. Bomba. Bomba. That's it. That's all that happened in that game. Eika was playing the full AP Malphite. Skewmond was on his Nunu, of all things. So yeah, Aegis were having a lot more fun with that game than I feel like Movistar probably were by the end of it. But Bands remaining kind of in this fine line between meta, whilst also targeting a couple away towards, of course, the Rumble yet again. No major surprise there, but the vibe with all that is up does make a fair amount of sense. My only concern is now Zyra Khan, potentially up and available for Fatihcan and Asper.
That would be something to keep our eyes on. Of course, Asper in particular looking really scary on that. Rakan was pulling off those very early dives, but Varus being considered and is locked in. Something that Fatihcan's put time into in the past, but so have most AD carries. What they're going to pair it up with? It does feel unusual to let something like the Zion Rakan go through with how potent they've been, but instead Mojito will head over towards the Sejuani, and you can see between the two ultimates locked in for FUT already, they've got the pick secured at the very least.
Yeah, they do have the pick tools straight away, right? The Chains of Corruption, Bowler as well from the Sejuani, lots of long-range, non-committal engages available to FUT from the get-go, so I'm very curious to see what direction they're going to take their draft, because they've completely foregone the Rakan pick. Zaya was there as well, and especially you see it a lot as an answer into the Vi, just because it can kind of nullify and next to make the Vi pick a little bit useless at times, as the Ahri will come alongside that Vi, so looking for just complete lockdown, strong 2v2 pick. And Aegis, I feel like in this kind of situation, you kind of can't give over your AD carry pick. So Shiganari is probably going to have to find something. Oh, the Zeri's up. What a surprise. If this one gets locked in that case, then.
I mean, I'm looking at these and I'm going, the thing is, none of these hovers would entirely be a surprise with how mad Aegis have been over the last match or so. But instead, they go towards a bit of a different tack. The Caitlyn locked in, kind of fallen out of priority from the very, very high levels of play we saw at the beginning of the year, but certainly still a very lane dominant pick and something they might be able to contest with the Varus in lane.
Yeah, definitely can contest in lane. We'll see what the pairings will be. I wonder if FUT are going to feel a little bit emboldened. I mean, the picks is even probably like Silas to sort of pair up the 2v2. I mean, speaking of 2v2 picks, Tempt's LeBlanc is definitely up there.
Tempt's LeBlanc is a thing. Yeah, we cast a lot of that last year. It was very scary.
We did. So we're very familiar with it. For those who may not be, Tempt is just really, really good. If you happen to catch C9 Eminez on the pick over the last weekend during NA finals, Tempt was going toe-to-toe with that guy.
Yeah,
so
they were trading back and forth a lot. It was great watching those two play.
If you're wondering roughly where Tempt is, on the LeBlanc pick in particular as well, roughly around there if you had to give you a decent game.
That's kind of crazy to say, actually, with how well Eminez was playing that pick, actually, as well. There you go. It felt good to see our boy transition over from VRLs and find some success after a turbulent year or so. But we've got ourselves locked in with junglers and AD carries and mid laners. We've still got some supports and top laners to deal with. It does feel like as of late we've been starting to see some more of those fifth pick supports coming on through, particularly when it's things like the Blitzcrank being considered. Top laners at FUT have banned away.
Yeah.
So more of the support option Aegis are getting rid of in the Nautilus and the Renata, two good anti-dive options.
So I really like this from FUT though, because it says to me they're probably going to just land on Cassante if I had to wager. It's something very stable in the top side. Gragas as well could be really good. 2 protection bands, Sion plus Fiora, it just kind of spells that out, unless they're thinking about another very like spellbound champion that loses to Fiora on the side. Are they going to give us a little bit of a runabout here? I think Sejuani top is actually maybe in mind then with those hovers. And
here we go.
Here on the Lee Sin, okay. I mean, the bans then make even more sense, right? It's very difficult to win the 1v1 with the Sejuani in the top lane. So FUT holding on to support counterpick because Caitlyn versus Varus 1-to-1, it's, very wishy-washy. It can definitely go either way, but more or less with similar ranges and similar amounts of poke and lane shove, the support matchup then becomes even more important because that way, that's how you secure the lane priority, right? If this Leona or some kind of aggressive pick goes through, now as Asper,
an aggressive pick.
that's a very aggressive pick in the Blitzcrank. Now Asper can come into this lane prepared with an answer to the Blitzcrank to, at the very least, you know, nullify the 2v2 or, you know, play for the shove or play for team fights, because Blitzcrank, if he's not hitting hooks, he's not necessarily the strongest at doing that. We'll see what the options will be, because a lot of strong team fighting and mobility tools available, especially on the top side for FUT. You would like to see that trend continue potentially from the support rollers. Potentially eyeing up a Gwen pick in the top side for a lot. I think it makes a lot of sense.
For sure. And I'm just glancing over Asper's support pool, and it does feel quite Carrier-esque. I'm seeing Pike and Callista and Shen, alongside things like the standard enchanters and Karma, Lulu, Nami, that kind of vibe. So definitely confident to pull out some more of those unusual picks. There's a few hovers already, which would be certainly in that mindset. Of course, I suppose the world with the fact we've got some weirdness going on, that's going to be a Sejuani supporters. I wonder whether we have a little issue with Champ Select, or the support pick is so crazy it had to be hidden even from us.
Exactly, it's so strong.
Checking
that now we won't know. Unsure what was wrong with the draft itself there. I'm sure Sam will give us an update in a moment. I'm very bad at keeping those things on my left
I've got it off on the side, so if I start glancing over this way, guys, it's because I'm checking out production.
Yeah.
That's what spoiler alert.
Yeah, spoiler alert, that's what we do. We have multiple screens here in our
I have so many screens, just I have so much stuff up.
Too many. But yeah, it seems like for the side of FUT, a very, you know, that is the Maokai support that goes through.
Okay.
Very interesting change up to send the Sejuani top, but also then to give us Maokai support.
Welcome to
Okay. How's this? I mean, I sort of see how how this is supposed to work, kind of with the ultimates coming up, where you kind of do one into the other. But
so
how does that lane right now?
My only real thought here is, what does Maokai's, you know, what is one of his primary strengths? It's securing, you know, brush control in terms of around the objective with the saplings. So Blitzcrank generally likes to play out of brushes. So my only real thought is, well, I guess he can kind of keep Hantera out of bushes by pressing his E key, but outside of that, man, it's a bit of a weird curveball. Obviously, we know what Maokai does and can provide in the team fights, but I am definitely kind of reaching in terms of what he can do inside of this lane. Maybe Asper, I'm not sure. Maybe Asper was... he's cooking, at the very least.
Yeah,
I could tell you that.
We've got to the kitchen, and it's been experimental. They've pulled out so they've gone for some fusion cuisine here, mixing up some dishes and ingredients that don't normally go in with what they do. We've got Sejuani Lee Sin top for some melee synergy up there. Lee Sin LeBlanc mid jungle duo, which is pretty dangerous. Then you've got a lot of pick in general between the Maokai, the Varus, the Sejuani around those team fights. I'm just not entirely sure, as we said, how that Maokai Varus lane works into a Caitlyn Blitzcrank, because confession, I'm not sure I've ever had to consider that lane at a even semi-pro level.
And, you know, I don't think you can necessarily fault us for that. So, what I will say, in any situation where I have no idea what's going on, let's just watch and see how things unfold.
That's what, you know, I'm just going to watch.
Yeah.
That's not a bad idea.
Because at least by taking a peek at the minimap, you can see that Shiganari and Hantera have complete control of the bottom side first wave or two. And I'm not sure how much that'll be willing to change. I think without the pressure of a support matchup, it does make me wonder, a range support matchup, it does make me wonder how hard Aegis is going to be able to chip away at that bottom side tower. That's normally the goal of a lot of Caitlyn lanes. You want to be able to effectively get as far ahead in goal as possible.
Flashback from Hantera, pulls Asper along with it. The Bramble Smash is a bit awkward. The Ignite's down though, and Hantera, I believe, has got the rocket grab on cooldown, so summer advantage towards FUT, but that was a interaction. We'll call it that.
Yeah, it seems like the rocket grab was used right before we panned down, and that prompted the engage there from Asper. Looks quite strange now.
Mojito's in behind. Hantera's not going to enjoy this one at all. Ignites down, and first blood goes the way of Fatihcan's piercing arrow.
Yeah, right. I was going to say Mojito because I was reading Fatihcan and Mojito.
What? It's just like a fajita and a mojito crop and some horrible amalgamation of drink and snack.
Yeah, God, I'm not sure how strong a combination that is, but Very strong pairing in bottom side to allow Fatihcan to pick up the first blood. There you go.
Yeah, rescue.
And just punished the aggression, and that's what you want to do against Caitlyn lanes. Get down there ASAP, break apart the tempo. You can see as well, highlighted by our observers, the ward goes down, but it's just, you know, clever pathing from Mojito. 3 camps into over the wall on the tri-brush. They know that Hantera has no flash, so they go for him, and they don't really want to overcommit and overchase onto Shiganari, just because they're not quite sure about where Skewmond can be, and that could be a very dangerous situation to walk in.
I think for all that we often highlight and celebrate the likes of our LPL Lee Sins, so they've kind of been known as we start seeing them all over TikTok and the likes. You know, there is something to be said for intelligent Lee Sin play as well as Tempt, charmed out of a distortion. Takes a lot of damage there, but we'll be able to back on out safely. But nicely played by Eika to get that E off as Tempt was dashing on forwards. And it's just going to be Asper around with his minion dematerializers to allow some space on him. I was about to highlight, look, really cool little play with like Lee Sin doing Lee Sin things, be able to path in interesting locations. Instead, we saw some nice little mechanical plays there instead.
Indeed. Wonder how volatile the bottom lane will remain in regards to.
It's Blitzcrank Maokai. I mean, like, I think they, like, so, it's just, I think just volatile underline it a lot, right?
Whilst that is true, maybe they just stare at each other for a really long time. That's also a pretty big. There's a chance that just happens. You know, it's like
they just stand still, press S, and stare at each other.
Exactly. It's like the other champion I like to talk about. That's really powerful doing that. Zac.
Kane.
No, Zac. You just you just press your E key in vision, and the enemy team has to respect it because you know. If you go in, you're Zac. Yeah, you're going to disrupt the backline one way or another. And it's kind of a very similar thing for Hantera. You just have the hook always ready. The threat's always looming.
Oh. I mean, that's always been. Oh my god. He wasn't just looking. He was. I was like, oh. Hold on to the CD. Panther. Fatihcan was about a pixel off being grabbed there. It felt like. I was going to say something witty, and instead I got distracted by the jump scare Hantera threw me through.
Yeah, I don't blame you. Well, our question was answered. Doesn't matter how volatile the bottom lane is. It seems like Fatihcan and Asper just had a really good wave crash, and Mojito is just going to take advantage of it, plain and simple. Get themselves the first dragon of the game. Very nice way.
Feeling minty fresh, considering his name.
Okay.
You're not happy with that. Okay. I heard that.
Yeah. You know, sometimes you just let them sit. As someone who might be sitting down very soon is Asper. Bye-bye.
He's going very deep, and he's dead. 2 rights, Hantera. Certainly not going to just sit there and wait. Oh my god, Fatihcan returns the favor. Phenomenal of flash Q there with the blight stacks.
Yeah, so much burst damage just to execute Hantera. Like I say, pop. He finds himself the second kill of the game. Does exchange flash for it, but why wouldn't you in this case? Really nice read here from Skewmond, expecting Lee Sin to show up. Level 6 StarScreen, really powerful.
The turnaround is pretty damn good, and the needles come flying on through. And it's anesthetic on a lot of them. They put into a long, long sleep of death.
Ah, great read. We saw earlier on as well how powerful the burst damage can be. Shiganari.
Oh my god, he's very close to both sides now, though. One final piercing hour, a Peacemaker will put either of these AD carries in the dirt. They are certainly playing to the wire down here in bot lane.
Yeah, they are. Oh, level 6 hit by Shiganari, actually, and he hit it.
Can he see?
Oh, he hit it in the brush. I don't think he was actually in vision. That could have been a very interesting way to end that exchange, as Asper didn't really get to be a part of this exchange. Hooked, locked down, and 3 blight stacks, I think. It's kind of hard to see with the particles.
Pretty sure it was from what I saw before.
For him to die from 300 HP, I assume it is. As speaking of dying from 300 HP.
Oh, the hook to try and keep Shiganari safe, but Asper does not have the W yet available. We'll look to Brambles back. My god, the trap on the tower! Not quite enough. Okay, I got more excited than I needed to there. Either way, kill secured. Look, sue me. I'm excited about League of Legends.
Hey, it's all right, but very smart there from Shiganari, right? Not actually giving over the kill to Mojito, and just attacking underneath the tower to draw aggro. Yeah, great way to just kind of deny someone who's more likely to use the gold a little more efficiently in a skirmish than his partner, as Skewmond hit 6 on our screen, and with the lane priority in the top side and Hantera in his back pocket, could just look to try and go for a Herald on takedown here. Got to spot out that Lee Sin go over the wall, so pings on both sides. They don't, however, know that Blitzcrank is in the area, but with the top side priority, like we mentioned, and also mid lane priority, as Eika gets back to lane faster than Tempt does, Herald will be started up, and I don't quite think a true wholehearted contest should be able to be had here.
Hantera counters us back. Night is dark and full of rocket grabs and charm afterwards. We saw this combo last game, and it was absolutely disgusting. FUT fell foul of it one game ago. They might be falling it foul of it again. They lose their support. Eika has to pop the ultimate, but little else. Nice pick there from Aegis alongside getting a hold of that Rift Herald.
Yeah, excellent stuff.
Charm to have distortion again, but on the other side, it's the ultimate popped onto StarScreen, and he is cut down to size. Lot gets another. Eika so low in the mid lane, but doesn't fall. And now this ultimate backup from Lot will not go any further. That needlework is feeling real sharp.
Yeah. Cuts the board down to size. StarScreen just gets caught out by Skewmond as well. I think just looking for a rotation into the mid lane because there was so much going on, but wasn't expecting so many members to still be around from Aegis. And Aegis again in a position where they could be looking to play spoiler for FUT. Definitely Movistar Riders' best friends at the moment.
Oh, Shiganari, I'm not sure you want to be there, my friend. You've got Flash, you've not got Cleanse for the 10 seconds. The Blight Starks are in. It means so much damage. Comes on through, and Fatihcan secures a third kill for Caitlyn. Not working up thus far as Lot now in danger. Throws down the Hallowed Mist, but I think it will just be consecrating the ground. She might end up in a grave in as maybe not, though. Turning it straight back around, gets the kill with the Ignite and is not traded back. I spoke to So, the only thing she is hallowing is the enemy's graves, never mind her own. StarScreen now having to Arctic Assault on out of there, and in a 1v2, a Lot is nothing to be trifled with. Yes, Shiganari falls, but now you've got a Gwen at 3-0 and 2 on the top side.
Yeah, and Gwen in a game like this, I feel like could maybe really be an issue to take on in the side lane, even in the team fights. I think the way that the damage operates for a lot of these champions, and the way they initiate, the way they initiate is just so Gwen favored, right? For the melee champions, they're just gonna get DPM checked for. Even champions like LeBlanc and Tempt are so easy to dodge away from a lot of abilities just with the Hallowed Mist and a little bit of fancy footwork. So that's a pretty big issue. We saw in the replays there how much damage Lot was able to return back. We'll see how this trend continues now. 302 Riftmaker, Tome as well to boot. Very, very powerful as Hantera.
Oh,
had the angle.
Just about out of range. It was the right angle, as you said, but the Chains of Corruption hold in place long enough. It's enough of a roadblock to keep the Varus safe. Observers there smurfing as they zoomed on in at the right moment. And Fatihcan has certainly been confident with his positioning versus this Blitzcrank so far. Worked out in his advantage. He's 3-0-0, but he is going to have to contest with the Gwen, who will be cracking her knuckles and welcoming all of FUT to the Thunderdome as this game goes on. Has already been doing that early on. Tempt pops on over. Charm goes on to a minion and therefore not onto the LeBlanc, but Dragon started by FUT with their second of the game.
2 to the good for their attempted run into quarterfinals here. Going to be Mountain as well, which will feel pretty alright against a team with so much damage, and the majority of these champions can slot in a lot of resist to make use of that Mountain, and plus if they do hit the Salt, Shield is always welcome. So for Aegis, something they may have to be a little bit concerned about, but there's a fair amount of true damage inside of some of the key carries as Flash. Oh, wow.
Twisted advance, Shiganari in danger. There's the ultimate there as well, and Nature's Grasp is strong indeed. She ain't letting go today. And Fatihcan goes onto a rampage, a third death for Shiganari, who has been left alone and taken down a number of times in this bot lane.
Yeah, focused on a lot, but I think now this is the part where, you know, those plays have to go down. You can see Fatihcan just been left to his own devices down there now. And on the top side, trade has to happen, right? If you're Aegis, you have to just hard force this top side when you're losing so hard.
Oh, StarScreen.
Goodbye, my friend.
Looking like it is pork for dinner tonight. This boar being cut down to size. Eika comes on over, uses the ult to claim the kill, and will ult right back on out afterwards. Nicely managed by Aegis. They get the turret as well. Nicely played to cross map after the bot lane goes wrong.
Yeah, and gold split goes on to everybody, right? Giving the kill over to Eika, gets him involved for the roam. Not only that, Lot obviously taking up the plates alongside Eika, while Skewmond will always share the plate gold, but not the local gold, so everything just kind of falls very nicely in their lap. As the Andres is picked up for Eika.
Okay. Somewhere out there, Nymeria is approving. It's got the Dark Seal stacking as well. And when you're into a few of these kind of bruisery type figures, I can see why the Leandries has a lot of value. And you've got a lot of pick already, right? So in some ways, having a bit more damage, a bit more burn for the front line, especially when your AD carries it behind, I can certainly see the value of it this game.
Yep, definitely can. And
Will we get a book, though?
Will we get a book?
Or an eye in a book, more importantly, as we've now all learned what Magi is. Oh my god, Hantera.
It almost hit StarScreen!
It nearly got a blind pick on a StarScreen!
That would have been quite awkward, wouldn't it? Just...
there's gonna be like a massive jump scare reel.
Oh.
Tempt goes in and gets jumped. Tempt taking so low. He is playing with fire and knocks right on out as Mojito finds a Q and takes it, but his mid lane is already dead.
Very, very tough. Now, there's not really anything to play for, but that wouldn't stop our teams from fighting, would it?
We're right into the playground. Schoolyard as we're getting a massive little brawl in the river. First kill goes over to Mojito, making a second to StarScreen, who's been under the cosh so much these last 2 games, but gets a shutdown against the Gwen. Important moments for FUT, who just lost their mid laner.
I mean, it's a £1 scramble in the river for absolutely no reason. And a lot of gold goes over to StarScreen.
Violence.
Nothing but pride and violence. The UK among us will definitely get that reference. That's for sure. As FUT now, winning out on that skirmish, will go towards this Herald. I think one important thing to know, however, is the shutdowns, the big money kills actually went over to StarScreen. It didn't go over to Fatihcan. It didn't go over to Mojito, maybe. Yeah, Eika.
So good with those charms.
Just on the point, right? Just really, really quick with the reactions. As Hantera is on vision, and FUT have a little bit more information to work with. And a really good flash from Mojito into an engage from Asper means that the first kill goes over, and this kick from Mojito as well into a 3-man knockup.
Phenomenal.
Excellent stuff. But it's just about all of this gold going into the Sejuani. Not Fatihcan here to try and, you know, broaden out that lead even further. It's nice to have Sej back in the game to a point, but she's not going to be able to hold lots weight for that much longer as that critical mass is approaching.
But then again, you've already got on the other side this Varus, who is very, very ahead on the other side. And if Sejuani can just provide utility, every time I start a sentence, Hantera is there to make me clench a little harder. He has been just shy on so many hooks this game. But, so far, not too much success to be found for this Blitzcrank, but it does feel like a tale of 2 carries. The Gwen very ahead on one side, the Varus very ahead on the other. While the kill score remains even, it really is the turret and the dragons that separate these 2 teams, and really a matter of which carry can carry harder.
Yeah, and you know, it feels like a solo queue game to a point, doesn't it? Where
Does a little.
You've got one side of the map, which is obscenely ahead, and the other side, which is obscenely ahead. And in this case, I guess we're going to really get the answer to which role is more broken, bot or top. Spoiler, right? The answer is
probably bot.
It's probably bot. But Lot has so much individual agency in these team fights. We spoke about how powerful he can be into the melee champions, but not only that, the way that he can negate a lot of the range champions damage, very, very important. Eika.
Dangerous place to be. It's another good charm as someone comes diving towards him, but it's still going to be the ultimate that is burned. The Q hit him again, but uses that final charge of the Spirit Rush to get on out to safety. But now Hantera, Eika on a flank for corralled. It's a decent use of the ultimate try and buy space from Asper, though. The branches come on forwards, and Skewmond is taken out before the fight can really get started. Lot now taken low, but the scissors begin to snick some people down to sides. This Gwen does so much damage to the Riftmaker. It's certainly up and running. Eika gets a killing spree, and they get the shot down onto Fatihcan. Shiganari picks that kill. Tempt, though, over the wall will make sure to get a kill onto Hantera, but Shiganari beginning to fire back, but that's not a particularly strong Caitlyn. Still, though, in the end, it is a 2 for 2, I believe, all things said and done. But it's Aegis who remain in control of the dragon, and they will stop the stacking from FUT.
They will indeed. They're going to get this dragon, and it's going to go the distance as well. A lot of poke damage. Assassins as well between Lee Sin and LeBlanc as the engage comes in. Really, really solid. But you can just see the thing that really saved this fight is actually the kick, the knockup landing onto Lot, because he was about to just go on a bit of a rampage. You can see how much damage he's already doing. As soon as melee champions get in range of him, he's just cutting them down. As Eika as well. Imagine if he didn't get caught out on the bottom side. Maybe the repositioning, the extra damage from the ultimate. This fight looks way more Aegis than
exactly.
But goes the way it does. FUT lose out on the dragon. Very close fight. Fatihcan is picked up quite quickly in terms of just being forced away.
Herald number 2 was in Mojito's inventory. Will now be using the mid lane. It's down to low enough HP. This should be a pretty easy headbutt and dead turret. it goes. Now leaving that turret score on the mid lane turret. Always a valuable one to have, especially running with these pick combos. If you pick, the ultimate goes wide from StarScreen, but Mojito with a slick little insect pulls Skewmond into a difficult position, and he has to flash. So a trade of summoners between the junglers, and everyone gets out alive.
Yeah, jungle flash for flash. I guess it's not the end of the world for either side. It does limit Mojito's general playmaking ability as Tempt. How much trouble is he in?
Oh, this is a difficult position. Hantera just walks up. Tries to get the rocket punch, but now the turnaround from Tempt is pretty good. Lands the ethereal chains, but can't quite find the kill. My voice cracks, but Tempt doesn't. He stays cool. He stays alive in a very scary looking gank from Hantera. Can't quite secure the kill.
More concerned about lots damage output. That was yeah.
I hate to do this to you, but I feel like Nightmare somewhere has got his arms in the air and is screaming yes, because we do appear to have a library card that's been bought and used by Eika. That's a Medjai second.
That's great for Eika. Let's see if he can get it stacked. You know, that's the important part. He's not died yet, so
that's true.
He's on the right beaten path. That's for sure.
I mean, the theory with something like the Ahri, right, is that you're quite difficult to kill, and if you're playing it right, you can get a lot of values out of the Medjais, which is harder to remove the stacks from you than it is a lot of other champions who might otherwise want to build it. So far, so good for the mid lane of Aegis, and yes, the LFL reps might be out here. You can certainly play spoiler. They did earlier today with the AP Malphite Nunu combo. Bomba. That game was so bad. We might be able to do it here against FUT and really cause spoiler and heartbreak. The Turkish representative. Asper, though, with the support. Maokai throws down the ult, goes on in with the twisted advance, but he's so deep. He's taken out Eika on a rampage. That puts him up 12 stacks over the 10 mark, but now the turnaround begins.
Oh my god.
StarScreen goes in for so it does a lot. Oh my days. He is absolutely monstrous, snipping away with not scissors but a guillotine. It's a death sentence to be anywhere near this doll. 2 dead in trade for Skewmond's life. Gwen beginning to hunt for more. Fatihcan will be on vision. Mojito throws down Sonic Wave, but I don't think that's going to dissuade the Gwen. In the mid lane turret comes an additional prize for Aegis in the mid lane.
I did not realize Aegis had been in the top side. My goodness me. Lot is putting out the work right now. This engage really solid from Asper. Like you say, goes a little bit deep in the sense of the rest of the team isn't quite in range to initially capitalize, but once they do close the gap, they do remove Hantera from the equation quite quickly. But once Lot shows up to be the frontliner here, immediate retreat, because they just can't deal with all of that AoE damage. He's so powerful. 2 snips, 3 autos, 4 autos, almost kills Tempt from 100 to 0. He's just that powerful. A lot of blinking health bars as FUT retreat out, but again, it's just coming down to engages, whether or not these first members can die first, and who the carry members actually are, and whether or not they're being focused down. That's really what we have to focus on in a lot of these breakdowns, because that team fight, the supports were the ones that ate the bullet first. It wasn't the likes of an AD carry or a top laner on the side of Aegis.
Couple key items to keep an eye on, of course. That Medjai's looking pretty nice in terms of plus the 10 stacks. It's going to be the Locket of the Iron Solari for Vi and the Sejuani, away from something like a Radiant Virtue or some of the other picks we've often seen towards those champions. So that's those in. Second item complete for Fatihcan, but not in for Shiganari. I feel like you might have some thoughts about the Lockets.
Yeah, I mean, so it's like a cheaper button press shield, I suppose, than Radiant Virtue. But I just don't think it's necessarily better. I mean, it's one of those things, right? You get more immediate value out of the button press. The heal comes out, you know, over time on the Radiant Virtue. There's also the slight stat difference between the 2 items. Cost difference as well. There's a couple of different things you have to think about. Whilst also there is, I can't remember the name of the passive. I'm not that deep into League lore, but of course you give everyone else a little bit of extra MR and magic resist when you are near them. So long as Skewmond...
is that the Aegis passive?
Yeah.
So I'm there with you.
It does reduce a fair amount of damage. It's not, you know, the most in the world, but at the very least you are still providing a fair amount for your team. You just lose out a little bit on the tankiness. I suppose when you have the aftershock, though, it does make up for it a little bit.
Yeah, for sure. In the picture-in-picture we saw as well, Eika did secure that tier 2. Did have to burn the ultimates, never mind that. Hantera once again proving I can't complete a sentence. This time the hook lands, and it's a dead jungler. And with your jungler dead and it post 20 minutes, 4v5 at Baron sounds exactly what the doctor ordered.
Baron fight. Baron fight.
Baron fight.
Baron
But
fight.
it's not a pound fight. It's not a pound fight anymore. It's over. The big purple worm instead.
Yeah, this is somebody dropped the pinky on the floor and all of a sudden there's actually
This
some,
is some deep
some
UK
scrubbing.
lore. Oh, in goes Vi and will throw down the ultimate. Unstoppable is Eika and will continue to hop forwards with Lot. They get another pick. Fatihcan dead. That all-important carry has nowhere to go. They won't go back to the Baron.
Nope.
And instead, they'll be happy with their picks.
Crucially, Skewmond getting chunked out on the engage means that the turnaround towards the Baron isn't actually playable. Teleports come out. Actually, I don't think that FUT or Asper is aware, per se. So a lot of scrambling coming out to ensure that Baron wasn't actually occurring. There would just be a bunch of resets coming out. And for now, FUT can breathe a bit of a sigh of relief as they take control again of this top side, and they're going to have to. Just simply because, again, we see what Hantera does with even a slither of Fog of War, and he's been pretty on point with the hook so far. 057 doesn't necessarily speak to the importance of the pick so far.
He has been very close to landing so many picks. Skewmond! Q's forward into the river, but FUT were waiting. Hantera, though, is going to be on vision, but could look for an important rocket grab nonetheless. Shiganari now over the wall, beginning to throw out some peacemakers. Not too much more. Mojito goes in with the ward-up flash kick and gets a kill onto the jungler. Now it's FUT's turn to start at the Baron with the man advantage. Skewmond. It had been looking so good for Aegis, but they might just have thrown it away.
The raid boss.
Not TPing in.
The raid boss.
I hear. This Gwen is so scary. StarScreen gonna have to be afraid as Fatihcan goes gold in the face of the Gwen.
The raid boss!
Shot down, but my God, finally Lot falls. Eika should surely pick up the tree, does so. Everyone else solo, but Eika
dealt so much
must
damage.
make use of the remaining ultimate to get the all-important kills. The E goes wide. Everyone else so very low. Hantera looking for picks.
Oh.
It is a hook onto Tempt. Goes down. No more ultimates available, but they can still burn people down the back end of it. The Leandri's burn, it's huge! Eika now in a 2v2, he's got two.
He's got to block the Q.
Can look for some more. The Q goes on to Hantera, not onto the Ahri, but with no ult, no ability to follow up two members with the Baron survive. And FUT just about make it work, but Eika, my days, did he make it so damn close? Not yet, Hantera.
He's got it!
Lands! My God, that pixel. It's been haunting him all game, but once again, it's just not close enough.
Not quite so close. Eika, if he gets Spirit Rush reset, you have to imagine he goes in.
It's all over.
It's all over, right? I'm not entirely sure how much the timer had left on it once the fight kicked off, but in earnest, when it did kick off, it's very, very dangerous. Lot gets into the back of the pit. He kind of ignores the rest of his team. The turn is on Shiganari. The rest of the team goes quite deep for it. Tempt finishes him off, but look, whilst that's all going on, Lot just chunks out everybody, right? Eika gets Spirit Rush cooldown. That's about 10 seconds, right? So 10 seconds to make another pick happen, but it just times out. Let's take a look at the particles on the floor just now. I think 2-second difference.
Oh.
If he has it.
And then if you have the ultimate there, it gets so different.
Because imagine you can W, auto, kill the Sejuani, dash in, even though you're going into range of Fatihcan, you land that charm. You're so close, there's no way you miss.
He's got no charm, he's got no flash, he's dead to rights. I completely agree. And somewhere out there, Nymeira's going, see? Ahri can do damage. This isn't utility build, this is full Medjai's Cosmic Drive Leandries. You are certainly in a position to try and carry this game as Eika and Lot still very, very scary. Of course, it's difficult. You're down to Soul Point. FUT have got the Baron. They have made that last play work out for them, but 4 items now complete for the mid laner of Aegis. There's enough bite in the solo laners of Aegis to maybe, just maybe, find a way back into this game.
Yeah, you'd have to imagine so. 3 items, like you mentioned on Eika. Lot's been a raid boss pretty much since he hit that first item. It's just about hitting the skill shots now for the side of Aegis, the important ones. Charm, rocket grab. Just something to isolate a target, get a snowball going. Skewmond as well has been fairly on point with the majority of the engages. I'd like to see that continue.
Oh my days, Hantera taken so low, but not out critically. Mojito on the other side needs to be afraid. Eika will get the Spirit Rush reset beginning. Skewmond's playing a Fatihcan. Just can't do any more. There's a lot. Just cuts them all down. It's a Reaper's Scythe at Eika. It's Spirit Blossom Ahri. That's a problem because she is guiding all their souls to the afterlife. Another few more stacks on an already full book. The library's gonna need a new copy of Medjai's. It's beautiful to behold. A team fight ace in trade for Skewmond. They'll secure themselves the dragon, and the Baron is dead before it can even begin.
Yeah, no way you can make something like that work. I mean, it starts off with Hantera looking for Tempt, right? Gets actually chunked out quite heavily. And then Mojito just overcommits, gets blown up. And at this point, take a look at lot. Even though he gets kicked out, so much AoE and the Shiganari is going untouched in the middle of all this. Eika as well, same thing, dipping, diving. It's just a slaughter. Massacre in the bush. No one can respond on FUT. No one has that much DPS. Asper, slow, long run down. Spirit Blossom, Asper. A little bit out of season, I suppose. The tree.
I mean, you're now looking at, like, yes, Shiganari's only at 2 items. Poor guy has been very much in a difficult position this game, but when your mid lane is on 4.5, building towards what looks to be, I suspect, a death cap blast, when you've got the Void Staff needed complete for this raid boss for Gwen, as we've been really afraid. It feels like maybe World of Warcraft is going to be having a new addition in the form of this Gwen at some point. Terrifying at this point. You're going to need full party to deal with that one. And yes, you've got the 3 items on the Varus. Yes, Tempt has got 3 items himself, but it does feel like if you're not killing someone before the fight begins, or without trading too much of your health bar backs, extended fights when you've got the Cosmic Drive build on the Ahri, when you've got a Gwen, surely those extended fights go in the favor of Aegis.
Yeah, so DPS just lends to them a lot more. And it feels like the only person that can really potentially match it is pretty much Fatihcan, but he's never really allowed the freedom. Pretty much as soon as he opens up, it feels like either Skewmond's on him, Eika's on him, or Lot's on him.
There's always a bigger pick champion, it feels like, in this game. Blitzcrank's even gone QSS second to make sure he can walk forwards and not be CC'd. Potentially a way of tanking up the Maokai ult as well, and for his team. Either way, that is the choice of items here, and I think the scoreline is all that indicative of how scary Hantera has been this game. It's been pixeled away so many times. It only needs to go right maybe one more time, and this game will be all Aegis' and FUT's dreams of a quarterfinals will be over before they can really begin.
Would be quite tragic for the TCL side. And we're personally kind of hoping a little bit for a tiebreaker.
I want tiebreakers.
Would be pretty fun. So
that'd be great.
I'd be down either way. We'll see what can come of it. It can always be just one pick, like this potentially. Eika. Double chain. Oh
the charm comes through! So many times, but they can't get the kill, and he gets out to safety. Which one's the real Tempt? He's gone back towards his broken tower, but Hantera lands the hook and claims the kill to boot.
Oh man, Tempt, so much burst. Just doesn't quite have the 100-0 to actually kill Eika.
Before the Baron begins, it's spawning in 10, and you're down your mid laner.
So rough now. 4 versus 5. LeBlanc is so much of your burst damage onto the squishies, as we just saw demonstrated onto Eika. Magician, smoke and mirrors, something like that. Made smoke and mirrors of Eika's health bar.
There's enough substance to it, though, to stay alive despite the pretty brutal burst there coming through. And now instead, you're the one that goes down. I get why they were looking for it. It was feeling a little bit desperate, and now in the picture-in-picture, you can see Lot is split pushing away, knowing they have the man advantage, knowing they can't afford to leave the Baron pit alone. It leaves this inhibitor turret dead to right. It is taken down in an instant. Who knew Scissors were so good at turret destruction?
Lot did, evidently.
Yeah, Lot, yeah, clearly. Yeah, we do now as well.
I will say, I feel like Lot could actually just hard commit to us. Yeah, he could do something like this. Maybe look for a chase down. Oh, great.
We have
missed.
Oh, that's brutal. Oh. Gwen is immune.
Yeah.
StarScreen was definitely not.
Yeah. I want to see it in chat. Gwen is immune. Latrol. Oh, I don't know if Latrol's immune actually. Or Ayaya. Either one works. As the rundown now without needlework. This pick is, well, she's going to press W.
We'll have the Hallow Miss. There it is. Goes immune again. That's a beautiful pop-up. Does time it out though. Now Asper will knock the Gwen back. It's now a 3v1, but Lot's still very scary. Has a fully stacked Q. Forces Tempt to flash. It's delicious, but it is still just a little bit too spicy for Lot. He can't cook quite enough.
Well. How long has it been since Gwen has been out? And she's still working. No problems. I mean, FUT have to make a play. All jokes aside, they have to make a play somewhere.
She's 4.5 items.
Yeah.
She's gonna be strong at this point.
Of course. You know, they have to make a play somewhere, and Lot being so far ahead is always going to make a meal.
He's a lot, yeah.
He's going to make a meal out of it. It's been so, yeah, the observers know as well. It's just so close. Like, every single time he fishes.
Who did Hantera, like, cosmically, irritate? Because he has been so unlucky this game, and so many have hurt.
The Sisters of Fate, Kronos, potentially. Who knows? Like, it's some kind of time god.
I'm trying to think of other time gods. I'm not going to do that right now. That will be a mess one way or another.
Zillion? I don't know if he's a dame.
Zillion. The great god of time. Yes, that's him. Famous mythological figure. Grooviest of them all is we've got ourselves a soul fight and enough giggling because it's soul secured by FUT, and maybe that's what they need to come back in, but Lot does not care how tanky you are. You're still but paper before the might of scissors, and there is no rock to be found. You're being washed away by the tide that Aegis are bringing. Yes, they're out of playoffs, but the might of LFL is nothing to be sniffed at. It is not to be snipped at either, as Lot will bring down the scissors one more time and decapitate what hopes remain from FUT. Their playoff dreams crumble, and Aegis play spoiler once more on their last day of groups.
Aegis play spoilers, and the next game is going to be about first place. Not about locking in that quarterfinal by StarScreen. Very, very squishy. And Aegis will close this one out in an upset, and I like what you said, Sam. FUT, they rolled rock, but they were paper to Aegis' scissors in the top side. Aegis will go 2 and 4, tie up FUT, and keep them locked in the group stage. And play spoiler, and potentially give us a tiebreaker for first place.
Incredible stuff, really. Despite being out, they were never going to be going down without a few punches thrown back. Their second game, it was a little bit of a fun game. It was the Nunu, it was the AP Malphite. This time, it's tried and true. It's a classic in Eika's Ahri. 10-0-13. Damage build on the Ahri, full stacks on the Medjais, an exquisite performance from him. I think we mentioned enough about Lot in that one as well. Really great stuff to see.
Yeah, everyone just kind of pulled their weight, right? I think, you know, like we waxed lyrical about the solo laners. I think Skewmond had a very solid game as well, just being a consistent wall and a place of lockdown to actually have that damage land in the first place. And also Hantera, I don't know what he finished. I recall we made a joke about him being 0-5 and 7 or something along those lines, but genuinely his presence and the rocket grabs he did connect with were pretty much game winning. So yeah, good effort across the board from Aegis. It's a shame that we didn't get to see more of this from the get-go, from the start of groups. They could have been a very interesting team to track and trace throughout the entire tournament had they made it to that top 8. But in saying that, speaking of not making top 8, FUT have been dragged down with them kicking and screaming, unfortunately, here. And they will join Aegis and remain in that top 11 to 16 bye.
Yeah, and, you know, for Aegis, there'll be a lot of dissecting to do for this whole split in general. They started the end of the LFL regular season top 2, fall down in playoffs in a pretty disastrous series of best of 5s. And this game honestly started pretty poorly as well. You started to see the bot lane go really, really scary, but while Lot on this top side was having none of it.
Yeah, you know, it was looking pretty good for FUT, right? Until we had this turnaround play from Lot, and as soon as this happened, it felt like he was just online, unlocked. And every time he showed up to a skirmish, that FUT were pretty much activating a lot of the times. They were the one initiating a lot of these plays, as you see in this B-roll in particular. He shows up and he just minces them. Look at this, like 3 health bars at the same time. All to the good of Lot and Eika as well. A lot of AoE that he can follow up on. That just kind of set him up to always have resets pretty much every single fight. Shiganari, bit of a passenger, but you can't blame him being focused down so much this game. But did his job when he needed to. And this is the next one as well, where Lot just continued to be a raid boss.
Lot gets straight to the back line, and Fatihcan tries desperately to stay alive, but does eventually take out the Gwen, but it comes at cost. And Eika, still very scary, had got the 3 items complete, had the Medjais and Cosmic Drive and Leandries, and was about a second off getting a reset on the ultimate, and you would be in a real team white. Didn't quite work out that way in the end, though.
No. Seconds mount. Unfortunately, Aegis couldn't get the massive snowball they were maybe hoping for off the back of this play, but didn't really matter because I imagine the next fight, yeah, here it is.
Yeah, this one worked out much better.
In the bush. I mean, it starts off quite poorly, right? Hantera could have gone down, but doesn't. And as soon as the turnaround damage comes in, Eika on the top right, Lot in the back left. It's just the smushing in the bush. No one gets to escape, and even Asper eventually gets run down. FUT just didn't really have any answers. As soon as damage threats were there, they could not match that much DPS. It felt like to me, as soon as the bottom side kind of fell apart in terms of the strength they were able to provide, there wasn't really much on the cards, on the table for FUT to actually work with. I like the idea of sending the Sejuani top, but I think in this instance, you can just keep it in the jungle. There's no real reason to ever, you know, try and make this flex work. It feels a little bit too funky, you know? And it seems to me that the Blitzcrank pick also kind of threw them off guard, sending the Maokai to the bottom side.
It feels like you're putting a lot of pressure on the Lee Sin to get things happening, because you've got the melee synergy with the Sejuani, you've got the great kill synergy with the LeBlanc, and look, Tempt put out a lot of work, but then you see decent damage from Shiganari, good damage from Eika on the Ahri, and then Lot was chunking through HP stacking ball all game long.
Yeah, Lot dealt the same damage as both the carries on the side of FUT. You know, he was... You know, he's doing some powerlifting. I think he's, you know, he's in bulking season or something.
For world records.
Yeah, world records, all that good stuff. Yeah, Gwen was just a monster in this game. Great pick overall as well. You could just see the amount of use it was likely going to get into the 4 champions it already saw, into the Sejuani, good matchup. And that's the other thing, you know, FUT did a lot to try and protect that flex too, because it was the Fiora ban plus the Sion ban. They wanted that Sejuani to have as comfortable a time as possible, but they just did not take into consideration that Lot could pull out the Gwen and that he would have such an insane game on it.
Well, we bid goodbye to both Aegis and FUT, whose runs in EMEA Masters end here. But it does mean we need to turn our eyes to what will be our first place decider after the break. We'll have Matchco versus Movistar Riders to determine who is claiming the first place seed in this group. See you after the break.
No tiebreakers regardless. Is it always... Is it...
Even the biggest champ needs a break.
Did anybody see Vegas